Before I explain today's idea, I'd like to check something. Not your IQ, not your intelligence, just your attention. I'm going to show you a sentence. Read it once, just once, and count how many times the letter F appears. Ready? Have your answer? Good. Don't count again. Just remember your number. We're coming back to it. Right now, your brain is lying to you. Not about something dramatic, about something much more dangerous. It's convincing you that you're thinking clearly, that every decision you've made today was logical, that you're completely in control of your own attention. You're probably not. And before you get defensive, neither am I. Here's the fascinating part. Your brain almost never tells you when it's making a mistake. It simply makes one and convinces you it was right. Today, I'm going to show you why that happens. More importantly, I'm going to show you 3 simple ways to think more clearly than most people around you. Because clarity isn't something you're born with. It's something you train. Before we continue, I'd like you to remember something. When was the last time you completely misunderstood someone? Maybe it was a text message, maybe an email, maybe someone said something that annoyed you all day, only for you to discover later they meant something completely different. Can you remember that moment? Good. Keep it in your mind. We're coming back to it. Let me tell you about John. John was smart, experienced, respected at work. For days, he'd been preparing an idea for an important meeting. He knew the research, he knew the numbers, he'd even rehearsed what he wanted to say. Then the meeting began. When it was finally his turn to speak, something changed. His thoughts scattered. He repeated himself, lost his train of thought, added details that only made the idea harder to understand. Halfway through, he stopped, looked around the room, and quietly asked, "Does that make sense?" It didn't. 20 minutes later, someone else presented almost the exact same idea. Only this time, it was simple, clear, easy to follow. That person got the credit. That person got the project. Here's my question. Who do you think was smarter? John or the second person? Most people immediately choose the second person, but intelligence wasn't the difference. Experience wasn't the difference. Confidence wasn't even the difference. The difference was clarity. One brain was running clean. The other was running through fog. And here's something most people never hear. Fog is the default. Your brain wasn't designed to think clearly. It was designed to think efficiently. Those are not the same thing. Let's go back to the sentence from the beginning. How many F's did you count? 3, 4, maybe 5? The correct answer is 6. The correct answer is 6. There are 6 F's. Most people completely miss the 3 F's hiding inside the word of. Why? Were you distracted? No. Did you suddenly become less intelligent? Of course not. Your brain quietly decided those tiny words weren't important enough to process carefully. So, it skipped them without asking your permission. Think about that for a moment. Your brain edited reality and never told you. Now imagine what else it's editing. People's intentions, conversations, memories, opportunities, even the way you see yourself. Remember that misunderstanding I asked you to think about earlier? What if your brain edited that too? What if you weren't reacting to what actually happened, but to the version your brain created? That's an uncomfortable thought, but it's also incredibly empowering, because once you know your brain filters reality, you can begin training it to filter more accurately. Quick exercise. Don't answer out loud. Just notice what happens. How many things are competing for your attention right now? Work, money, family, a deadline, something you forgot to do, a conversation you've been replaying all morning? Notice what just happened. The moment I asked, your brain immediately started searching. You didn't choose those thoughts. They simply appeared. That's because much of your thinking happens automatically. Your conscious mind likes to believe it's driving the car. Most of the time, it's sitting in the passenger seat. That's why clearer thinking isn't about thinking harder. It's about becoming intentional, about what deserves your attention. And that brings us to the first Mentis Method, the decision diet. I want you to answer one question honestly. How many decisions have you already made today? 5, 20, 50? You probably stopped counting long ago. Every decision: what to wear, what to eat, which message deserves a reply, which task comes first, draws from the same mental energy you need for life's biggest decisions. Your brain doesn't separate small decisions from important ones. It simply decides again and again and again. By the middle of the afternoon, many people are trying to solve important problems with a mentally exhausted brain. And here's the surprising part. The solution isn't to become more disciplined. It's to become more selective. Tomorrow morning, choose 3 decisions you can make in advance. Your breakfast, your clothes, the first task you'll work on. Remove those decisions before your brain has to make them. Try it for 1 week. Not forever, just 1 week. Then notice something. Do your important decisions feel a little easier? Do you feel a little less mentally scattered? That's the decision diet. Not because routine is exciting, but because your best thinking deserves your best energy. Now, even if you protect your mental energy, there will still be moments when your mind feels like it's running in 10 different directions. You've probably experienced it. You're reading the same paragraph for the 3rd time without understanding a single sentence. You sit down to work and completely forget why you opened your laptop. You're halfway through a conversation and suddenly realize you've stopped listening. If that's happened to you, I want you to know something. That's not a character flaw. It's a capacity problem. Your working memory can only carry so much at once. So when you're juggling work, family, notifications, unfinished tasks, and tomorrow's worries, your brain isn't failing. It's overloaded. Here's a simple reset I use whenever I notice the fog creeping in. First, pause. Then ask yourself one question. What am I feeling right now? Not what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Scattered, overwhelmed, anxious, frustrated, stuck. Give it a name. Simply naming an emotion helps your thinking become more organized. Now, take out a piece of paper, not your phone, paper. Write down the one thing that deserves your attention right now. Just 1, not 3, not your entire to-do list. 1. Finally, set a timer for 10 minutes. For those 10 minutes, give that one thing your complete attention. If your mind wanders, don't judge yourself. Just come back again and again. Because every time you return your attention, you're training it. I'd like you to do something for me. Right now, look away from the screen for just 3 seconds. Seriously. 3, 2, 1. Now ask yourself, what was the very first thought that appeared? Did you choose it, or did it simply arrive? That's the difference between automatic thinking and intentional thinking. The goal isn't to stop thoughts from appearing. The goal is to become better at choosing which thoughts deserve to stay. There's one final habit I want to leave you with, and it might be the hardest one. Not because it's complicated, because it's become automatic. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, don't touch your phone. Not immediately. Most people spend the first moments of their day reading messages, checking notifications, scrolling through social media, absorbing other people's priorities before they've had a single original thought of their own. Imagine 2 people. They wake up at exactly the same time. The first reaches for their phone. Within minutes, They're reading the news, replying to messages, scrolling through problems they didn't even know existed 5 minutes earlier. The second person leaves the phone alone. They spend the first hour planning their day, thinking, reading, writing, solving one meaningful problem. Same intelligence, same amount of sleep, same 24 hours. Completely different beginning. And beginnings matter, because the quality of your first mental input shapes the quality of your attention for the rest of the day. Start with noise, and your brain stays reactive. Start with intention, and your brain stays directed. The same brain, a completely different day. Let's finish where we began. Remember the sentence with the 6 F's? Your brain wasn't broken because it missed them. It was doing exactly what it has always done. Filtering, simplifying, taking shortcuts. The difference between clear thinkers and everyone else isn't that they have better brains. It's that they understand how their brains work. And once you understand that, you stop trusting every thought that enters your mind. That's clarity, not a talent, a practice. Today, you've learned 3 ways to begin building it: the decision diet, the 10-minute reset, and protecting your first hour. Now, I'd like you to do something. Pause this video for just a moment. Which one are you going to try today? Not tomorrow, today. Choose one. Make the decision before this video ends, because the moment you choose, your brain begins looking for opportunities to follow through. And I genuinely love to know which one you picked. Leave it in the comments, not because I need the algorithm, but because someone else reading your answer might decide to start too. If you enjoyed this kind of practical psychology, you're going to enjoy what we're building here. In the next episode, we're going to put your brain through 5 simple challenges that reveal how quickly you really think under pressure, and more importantly, how to improve that speed. Until then, protect your attention, question your assumptions, and remember, your mind is the most powerful tool you will ever own. Train it well.